in terms of implementation when the money is being, or a fund is being channeled toward a particular program. And if we can remember the paper yesterday, he quoted some of the loopholes in the budgeting, most especially in funding the rehabilitation and disability affairs fund, where we can see 0.5% from the part of the money allocated 2023-2024 and up to 0.005 if compared with the state government budgeting. So I learned a lot on how to mainstream a budget plan so that it will capture all different forms of disability. Then in terms of social inclusion, I also learned how to make inclusion a proper inclusive program, most especially when it comes to the issue of that social register. So I wanted to talk yesterday about that social register, but I just decided to keep on. So a lot has been done. The information we received from the security representative of the security personnel, it was so glaring in such a way that the final report from the security agency that the rate of crime from the disability community is very mild compared to that of the normal people. It has been long, we haven't received any cases from people living with disability.
All right, thank you very much, sir. He talks about budget performance. If you all recall, our resource person will believe that whatever we are advocating for as persons with disability, if the budget releases are not their cashback, we will only be talking and talking and talking. So what we need to do as the disability community and other stakeholders for us to carry out a series of advocacy visit to such critical stakeholders to ensure that money are not just released but also cashback, so we'll be able to fund our priority needs. So I don't know if our resource persons are around, so that I'll hand over into our FOMC. Sir, is any of them around? So we are also learning, and I also want us to, what can we do collectively, having those kind of learning that we had yesterday, what can we do to better our lives? What recommendation do we think we need to bring on board to advise the government, or what steps can we take as persons with disability to make our life, to improve our well-being? So is there any recommendation that we want to, as persons with disability, what can we do collectively?
My name is Wahid. Actually, what as a community of persons with disability, with the collaborations of the development partners, to do in order to make the lives of persons with disability better. If we look at the community at the local level, some of the young persons with disability actually are not enrolled in primary school. So we need to create a platform of advocacy and sensitizations to those communities at the local level. Because some of the parents of persons with disability, that discrimination is still existing. But due to the advocacy that's supposed to be taking place and sensitizations, it will make those parents understand the value of their children. And toward that, even the stakeholders, the community leaders, this discrimination is still taking place. But with this advocacy and sensitizations that we're supposed to step down it to those communities, it will encourage the parent with disability and the leader of the community so that we engage those children in school, so that we make their lives better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I hope Rapporteur has taken some of those recommendations. Very, very important. Yes. Thank you for giving us that recommendation.
Thank you very much, sir. My name is Success Immorality. And I want to speak on what you said, the recommendation. First of all, I want to talk about the sensitization. And when we say sensitization, the media is a critical stakeholder in that regard. And there must be a synergy between the community, the disability community, the media, and the government. So there must be a collaboration. And the collaboration had to do with, meeting government officials. They talked about money without cash backing. It's not a good one. So we must ensure that the media helps, drawing attention to the government that there's need to get this money so that the different projects that ought to be implemented are done. Then also, the Pansec said something yesterday, and I think it's quite commendable. We must expand the base of the community, of the disability community, because across the 23 local governments in Kaduna State, we must do a conscious effort and awareness, go through the nooks and crannies of those local governments, and expand our reach, sensitize them that we can join forces together, because the larger the better. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for that recommendation. He emphasized on sensitizing the disability community to know their rights and what they need to do to enhance their well-being. So it's a collective effort, and we want all the local government chairmen representing JONAPWD should take that upon themselves. Whatever they learn, they need to disseminate this information at the grassroots, because you are representing the disability community in those local government. Thank you very much, and I will hand over the mic to our MC. Before I do that, somebody's hand is up.
Yes, my name is Johanna Ishaku-Dadana from Jama local government. My recommendation here is that all that we have discussed yesterday, the most important thing is that after this summit, there must be a proper follow-up, so that what we agree upon, see that has come to fulfillment. Then secondly, I discovered that most of the times you discover all this discussion only, finish here in the States. Most of the times the chairman of our various local government, that is council chairman, will I say they are not aware, because in my local government, yesterday I was surprised because issue of budgeting, I have never for once seen my chairman calling person with disability to come for budget preparation. So when I heard this yesterday, I said yes, the chairman of our local government, council chairman, need to be told about all these things, so that when they are making this preparation, then person with disability should be included and the implementation should be fully implemented. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Now we'll be going into our first presentation. What we're about to learn today is very, very key. The role of state and non-state actors in promoting the issues of persons with disability in Kaduna State. So thank you very much for giving me this.
All right, good morning all of us. Welcome to day 2 of our summit, Kaduna Disability Affairs Board, joint National Association of Persons with Disability, with support from Save the Children International and Child. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and privilege to welcome each and everyone to this August event. I was waiting to hear from women, and for them to tap into what the PAMSEC said yesterday regarding the cooperative. I hope women, you are not asleep. You're cooperating, you should rise to the meeting to ensure after this meeting, you start collaborating with other women for you to tap into what the PAMSEC said yesterday. The essence of this meeting will help you when you have your cooperatives. And what my brother said, you had me even during campaigns, which from chairman, the senators, house member, governor, president, where is the space for people with disability? You hardly they carry us along. Let alone for them to say this is their blueprint for people with disability, either at the federal level or at the state level. When you hear such, it's you that will rise to ask them compelling questions that we need to be involved. And we should, they will ask the votes, you give them the votes, they go to sleep. Not to talk of your offices, not to talk about PAMSEC state, Queen and local governments, and people as states they cover. What about the people at the local governments? Now, after this meeting, we should be able to start hearing you at the local level. Call us that ABC is happening. I'm collecting the job of some resource person doing this morning. But the privilege I have, we need to adjust the status quo to get it right. Let me welcome all of us. Can we give ourselves a big round of applause? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm passionate about your matter, and every day even at sleep when you call me, I will say A or D positively about this important association and group. At this point in time, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite EX, Executive Secretary, okay, all right, so let me welcome her. Can we give her a big round of applause? And also to welcome Disabilities, the chairman, Kaduna State National Association. Can we give you a big round of applause? And all the invited guests, we welcome all of you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. So we can't much high too. Our resource person, the first is already on seat. It is my Oga at the top, and perhaps Oga have contributed a lot in the role of persons with disability in Kaduna State and in Nigeria. And today we will be speaking on, he will be speaking on the topic, the role of government and development parties in promoting disability issues in Kaduna State. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if I were you, my pen and paper handy to see how we're going to grab something and ensure we carry everyone to greater height. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm able to welcome a friend and a man with passion when it comes to issues with disability in Kaduna State, Nigeria. Join me as a welcome Mr. Ever Adejo. Can we collectively give you a big round of applause? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, sir, I hand over the mic to you to do justice to this important topic, and please, arrange Surutu. Arrange Surutu. When I saw me, they were so that we can grab what brought us here. In the end, you will feel like our matter is beginning to change. Can we give him another resounding round of applause?
Thank you very much. I came in here into this hall before 8:30. I was told many came from local government areas, and I felt it would not be right for me to keep the constituency I've worked with for a very long time. I remembered we had an engagement in this hall, Suleiman and Ralwan. Anyway, when we meet, we will sort our remaining issues out there. However, I want to thank you all sincerely. And then it's a privilege. I was not even close when this topic was sent to me. I had to struggle to get into Kaduna day before yesterday in the night. And yesterday, I had to also start putting something together, and then I got here to do what I'm doing right now. My friends, good to see you all. You might be surprised I'm trying to do some little sign language here. I have a friend, we all grew together, and all of a sudden, I'm sure the COMSEC was here. You mentioned the permanent secretary. Is she here? Okay, she was here yesterday. Okay, I've not seen the new executive director of the Disability Affairs Board. Is she here also? Okay, so please, I want to sincerely observe all protocols and also to ensure that we take this forward. When this topic was sent to me, I looked at it greatly and I said, I can even talk without writing. And that's one of the things. But again, in order to fulfill all righteousness, I decided to put something down. We have had a series of engagement with the constituents right inside this hall. Right inside this hall. I remember one of the things we raised with the management of this hotel is accessibility to this hall, particularly those that are on wheelchairs and those others that can equally not access this hall. And I think up till now, the management of this hotel have not been proactive. And I can say it any day, any time. So inclusion, it's very important. Even for some of us that are here, we are building our houses. Some are building upstairs. So remember, somehow one day, if it happens, how then can you get upstairs? Will you? If you have a house with a staircase and you have to go inside and you did not prepare for an access way, when it happens, will you blame anyone? So, why I'm saying this is because there are things that we also are supposed to do for ourselves because we talk of government. And we are not complying with some of them. So I really think when you are building a house, please put on the lens of tomorrow. And the lens of tomorrow is what? Inclusion. Prepare for tomorrow. Don't prepare for today only. If you prepare for today only, that means sai a yi gidan sama ko ranar da za ka iya hawo gidan sama sai ka hawo. Ranar da ba za ka iya hawo gidan sama ba fa sai ne. Somebody will carry you. And is that supposed to be your ultimate? Okay. So why I put up that to us is all of us, I think, in one way or the other, we are culprits. We are culprits. Let us prepare and prepare for all that we need to do any day, any time. Tomorrow is not your friend. Tomorrow is not my friend. Thank you. Now, I have a little background. Don't worry, at the end you can clap. Oh? Thank you, my friend. At the end we can clap. But again, we are here for serious conversations for now. I decided to go all over the world. There are people that by virtue of how we are, I know somebody who is an engineer. He is in this town. He was not born blind, but right now he is blind by either sickness or by one health condition or the other. And that is also increasing the number of persons with disability. Some of us are here, we struggle with our eyes to see. Right? If I remove this glass now, I can see all of us that are here. But in order to make things easier and simple for me. I have this on my face, and I can use it to read and do whatever thing I want to read. That means, whether I like it or not, I'm partially living with disability. So many others out there, there are so many things, some health conditions, majorly, and that's why it's also very important. I try to draw that. I think by the time we get this, probably we'll go through them and read. And for our friends in the front here that cannot, I'm sure probably if the braille machine is also used, this can also give them opportunity of understanding what I've written. But I know you, my friends that are seated here, you can hear what I'm saying, right? Very good. So, government can promote disability through a lot of things. Am I right? First of all, before that, there is also an enabling environment for certain laws to be stepped down at the state level. We have the National Disability Act at the federal level. We have some conventions of the United Nations. I think you will see where I mentioned some of them. But before I move into that place, government establishments, MDAs, can coordinate disability issues and monitor program implementation. Am I right? And that is why we have Ministry of Human Services and Social Development with Honorable Commissioner, and then we have Executive Secretary, Disability Affairs Board, right? So whatever thing, it is the Executive Secretary that will have to report to, the Director will report to the ES, while the ES will take it to the Commissioner, while the Commissioner will take it to what? The State Executive Council meeting, if there are issues that need to be trashed. And that's why the MDAs are equally very important. And in terms of coordination, they are the ones coordinating. Right? Am I clear? Good. So when you move to the others, enabling laws, I'm sure we are aware that the Kaduna State government has passed a law. Cool? In what year? Right? Good. The law was passed, and when the law was passed, yes, I think the bill is currently back to the House of Assembly, right? Because of some amendments of some clauses inside that law at the moment. Is that so? Good. And I think also we need to be parleying with members of the State House of Assembly, the Chairman House Committee on Human Services and Social Development. There are other key committees in the House of Assembly that we also need to get across to. Anyway, when we get to that, I think I will mention some of them. Providing services, government can provide accessible and affordable health, education, social services for people with disability. Am I right? Now, I think not once, not twice, not 3 times, inside this hall and the hall behind, we have engaged Kaduna State Contributory Health Scheme, which I personally led, to ensure that those that the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund is expected to cover as much as the 1% consolidated fund that is expected to cover by the government. We raise such awareness and we engage the Contributory Health Management Scheme because the health of persons with disability is very important. So those are some of the services we can also look at. I also know that a couple of times, not once, not twice, I think I can remember somebody made presentation in the last budget engagement to the House of Assembly on behalf of JONAPWD. He is not here, right? Because they handed over the microphone to him. I moderated the session, and presentation was made on behalf of disability community to the House of Assembly for inclusion into the budget. However, one of the things we need to look at now is to show that when we do analysis of the budget, let us see whether that influenced the budget or not. But again, there are programs that are also lying in some MPAs that probably when we do analysis and we do a post-mortem, we'll be able to find out where there is influence in respect of budget engagement for the JONAPWD members that are here. And then the last one, raising awareness. Government can raise awareness. I know from time to time, sometimes also during the World Disability Day, the government also supports in making a couple of things out for all of us, right? So, Malam Suleiman, na ji za ka zo ka zauna a nan gaba. Sauran mutum ɗaya. Sauran mutum ɗaya. Allah kira mun yawa kafin kai ma biyo shi kana na wajen ko shi kenan. Na raba ku ne dama. In ba ka raba su ba yanzu nan za su fara wani meeting a Abuja. So again, responding to needs of persons with disability, I've mentioned this earlier. Minister of Human Services and Social Development, Disability Affairs Board can identify and respond to needs of persons with what? Disability. And monitoring, I have said it earlier, when there is budget provision for the ministry, the reporting line is from Director, ES, Commissioner, and it will get up to the State Executive Council. That is the reporting line in terms of that, because they have to monitor all the things they are doing. Conduct research. They can also conduct research in respect of that. I know one thing we'll be talking about on research is the actual population of persons with disability in Kaduna State. I don't know if we have the exact figure up till now. I saw a document of close to 170-something thousand in Kaduna State. But again, I remember in one of the engagements we had, it was about 400 and something you mentioned, and so on and so forth. So again, I think that's very important, and one of the key things we can raise with government, for government to ensure that we get information majorly on persons with disability at the state level. And here I mentioned some related convention. Like I said, from the United Nations up to the Nigerian government, the act in 2018. Then Kaduna State Disability Law in 2021, right? And then Kaduna State Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law that was passed in 2018. Because anything that concerns you equally concerns the other people that are here in terms of when it comes to the issue of stigmatization, right? So, what are the aims of the laws that were created? And basically, if you look at them, it's to strengthen equality and mainstream people with disability across board. Am I right? Am I right? Good. And then the second one, the law aims to improve access to empowerment from different sectors or different directions. So again, that is very important. The law aims to reduce challenges faced by persons with disability. I know, yes, when the law was passed, there are issues. Those issues were raised. I think as part of that, there is something that is currently in the House of Assembly, right? The trust fund, which that has not been completed up till now, so that it can be implemented and that will be taken forward appropriately. How can the laws be implemented? Kaduna State government has taken steps to implement the laws. Kaduna State Disability Affairs Board is working to create barrier-free and equitable society for all persons with disability. Am I right? Okay. And then support from development partners and accountability mechanism to implement action and activities that will include persons with disability in governance. So that is very critical. And advancing disability inclusion for equal opportunities by development partners and civil society. A lot of civil society groups have, in one way or the other, supported disability community. From here, I can see logo of some development partners. Those that are under the UK aid, you can see the UK aid here. Clinton Access. Yes, of course, JONAPWD is there in the middle. Again, you have some other ones, individual organizations that are equally mentioned on that. They are development partners and civil society groups that are working with attention to persons with disability in Kaduna State. I know the number of times we appeared on the floor of the House of Assembly to talk about the rights of persons with disability in Kaduna State. It's not the first time, it's not the second time. I think we've done that several times. Sometimes up to national level. I know a couple of meetings where they ask, please can you send someone to Abuja? Either we send Suleiman or we send Ralwan. And there are a couple of others that we equally do things because of work representation. And one of the key things we looked at as development partners supporting enabling environment for disability in Kaduna State from 2016 to about last year is inclusion in all the mechanisms that are here. And I will mention some of the mechanisms. There is Kaduna Health Accountability Mechanism that works in the area of health, CADMAM. There is representation of persons with disability on that. There is Kaduna Basic Education Accountability Mechanism. There is representation of persons with disability there. There is Kaduna Local Government Accountability Mechanism. There is a representation there. There are also very numerous groups and platforms. One of the things we do is to ensure that persons with disability are mainstreamed into the accountability mechanism. I remember the Minister of Agriculture was doing something the other day, and I challenged them. And quickly, the director called Suleiman and said they are integrated into their programs at that level. Because for wherever we go, however we handle some of the things, we ensure we put persons with disability in a better position that they will engage governance process in Kaduna State. Creating an enabling opportunity, I've talked about that. Creating accessible environment, I've talked about. Including in disability in our daily activities, I've talked about that. And then here I'm quoting, there is somebody that wrote something when I came across this, and I felt it's also very important that we look at it. Development challenges faced by persons with disability needs to be addressed through a multidimensional approach with partners who have a proven track record of disability and inclusion. She is a World Bank Global Disability Advisor. And this she has said, I decided to quote it verbatim and put it there. McLean, that's her name. And that is very, very inciting statement that can enable engagement with persons with disability. Support disability inclusion in community development and religious institutions. And one thing again I also have to mention here, probably Suleiman is here, a number of our colleagues, friends that are on wheelchairs that are here. Now, when it comes to our religious and worship places, they are also not complying with persons with disability. And I will say it clearly. Where am I saying so? Go to some of the worship places, I am not calling name of anyone, and see, can they use wheelchair to enter inside the worship place? There are some, you have to climb multiple steps for you to get there. There are some, they are trying as much as possible. There is a way they've created that persons with disability can use either their wheelchair or their crutches to access some of the routes. So I think it's also time for us to begin to campaign that religious institutions, when they are building new structures, should put persons with disability into consideration. Like I said, tomorrow is far, tomorrow is near. You don't know what happens to you. I mentioned somebody who is a friend and an engineer. He was not blind, but now he is blind. So in his house now, what they are doing is they are trying to break where they have steps to create an access for him, so that if he's going up, even if he's holding his white cane, he can access that place with rain entering his house. And some of his family members were able to support to get that done. He has a comfortable living home right now. So why I'm saying so is this. Yes, we are part and parcel of the community and the society. So the worship places equally need to put us into consideration when they are doing any one of this. I mentioned it earlier. When you build upstairs with all the resources you have now, tomorrow, if you are on wheelchair, tell me how you are going to access the upstairs. Unless if somebody will have to lift you, or you have a lift in your house that you enter and then you can access all of the facilities in your house. And also, some of the places we get to, for instance, like here, the convenience that is there are particular toilet seating that is for persons with disability. Am I lying? How many hotels have installed any one of such? I've said it earlier. We had an engagement in this hall, right inside this hall. Those on wheelchair, we have to carry them and bring them in. This engagement, we had it here in 2019, and up till now, the management of this hotel are yet to address the staircase leading to this place. So tell me, private, public, same set of people running all of them. Now, challenges of government in promoting disability. Often they will tell you inadequate budgetary provision. True or false? No, now you are not answering me. I should go and sit down. Because, yes, government will tell you inadequate resources. And that is where development partners also come in with their resources to come and support issues on disability. Yes, agreed. The environment is currently shrinking in terms of funding from development partners. And I think also the private sector need to come right into some of the things we are doing to ensure that they complement what government and development partners are doing. There are private-led individuals that can handle some of those things. Inadequate funding, I've mentioned that. Stigma and discrimination against persons with disability is one of the things that we are battling. I think I remember Suleiman telling me they were going to court in Zaria one of the days about somebody with disability that was seriously abused. And of course, when you see some lawyers in the town now, how many of the lawyers have been able to take issues of persons with disability and say, I'm going to represent them in court, providing pro bono services? So I think we need to, Suleiman, we need to engage the Nigerian Bar Association and FIDA to ensure that issues that come to persons with disability, what pro bono services are they providing? It's very critical and important. Then poor accessibility to infrastructure, I've mentioned it. This hall is one. Our worship places I've mentioned. Our homes I've mentioned. My friend and colleague, the moderator, I know, yes, you can walk with your leg and enter your house now, but did you plan for tomorrow? What if today something happened So can you access your house and enter inside the house? It is important. While our family members, friends, and everyone is building, we tell them what to do to ensure inclusion, right? Limited data on disability prevalence, right? I saw something, and it was 2022, when the Statistician General of the Federation presented it. But after then, do we have the population of persons with disability by state, by local government? But I think probably by the time census is going to come, that should be one of the things you should advocate for. So that through that, they are conducting census. That can also lead us to a better opportunity based on that. Inadequate consultation on policies. Sometimes they make policies on your behalf, but you are not included in the policy framework and development. It is very important. All of this can hinder effective implementation, which is aimed at inclusion of persons with disability. Then challenges that some development partners might face: support the implementation of laws at the federal and state level. Yes, okay, you are aware now that the US government has stopped funding, right? And that is also going to affect a couple of persons with disability, right? Now, if we have a private sector driven thing in Nigeria, and say maybe 1% of their annual earning should be channeled to building capacity and doing things on inclusion with persons with disability, I think that will be fine. But again, development partners can only come support, but they cannot pass the law in the assemblies. Who are there in the assemblies? Our friends, our brothers, our sisters, our relation, friend to friend to friend, right? They are the ones in National Assembly. And sometimes you have to lobby and lobby very well for any one of these laws to be passed, right? Inclusion, awareness, and action that drive disability challenges is also one key factor that we are looking at. And finally, when you just look at the conclusion, I tried to write a couple of things based on it, and I'm sure by the time we just go through, I will not take time to just read this, but the issue is this. Let us remember, for disability, it is everybody's leader. As I'm standing here, yes, if anything is at the extreme end here, if I remove my glasses, I can read it. But if it is close to me, I cannot read it. I have to put on my glasses. That is why I've said it. And I'm not running away from it. I'm partially living with disability. And some, you say, if you tell him that you are partially, remove the glass and read now, but you will say, but without the glass, you cannot read. I was impressed with something I saw here. I think someone was trying to help a young person in his state. And I got to the rehabilitation board here to buy wheelchair. That's some years back. And I saw Equatorial Guinea, right? Came to buy close to 25 or 30 wheelchairs from here and took 50 and took to their country. So that means if that board is properly empowered, then I think we can produce, and it's sending across Africa, across all the states of the Federation. I think there is ability in disability. So as far as I'm concerned, this is just a few thoughts that came to my head, and with the experience that I've shared, and so on and so forth. So disability community is my constituency. And that's why, for me, if I don't come here, when they told me that I have the first presentation, by 8:30 I was here, and I called him. Then I went, did some other things, came back again to come and do this presentation. I still have a couple of others to do, but If I don't come here to do this little that I've done today, I think I will not forgive myself. And that's why I'm happy to be part and parcel of whatever engagement. I've told him, any day, anytime, call me and I will come. Myself and my colleague, 2018, we were given an award by the Rehabilitation Board. And for him, he's in the office. And when I told him today, Chief, that Lagos and present us. If you fail, it is us that failed. That means that award, they can collect it back from us. But let us not fail so that they will not collect the award back from us. So, I get one you always sit down here. Thank you very much.
Ina gani wannan tafi ba wani shi ba. Ina gani mafi yawancin ba su san sun sani amma ba su san waye Mr. Abel Adejo ba. Abel Adejo shi yana ɗaya daga cikin wanda su suka fara yin jagorancin a sanya wa dokar da ta kare hakkin masu na kasa a gaba. A farko project ɗin su bai zo da wannan ba, amma saboda kasancewar shi wanda ya kasance a nan sama da shekara 30 ya san shi. Ya san yadda ya saka na saboda me ya ce ba ni ba rayuwa. Alhamdulillah yana tare da ku yau, gobe ma. Ina gani kamar yadda ɗan uwan ku gogan ku ya ce mu yi mai kuma ya karba ko bai karba ba na karban mai shi ne garkuwan na kasar. Thank you very much.
Akwai rayuwar sunan ne bayan
kasan idan ka ba da kai naɗi kana neman kariya ku na yawwa akwai mai gida na daga police command ya ba ku all the kariya.
Because of time, I didn't want to go to citation of who Abel Adejo is. If we begin to talk about Oga Abel, perhaps but I love what the chair said. For the important aspect of Oga Abel being the founder for Disability to have a stake in Kaduna State, give us pleasure and joy that somebody is working behind the clock and even physical to ensure some of us have capacity, legs to stand to talk about disability in Kaduna State. Can we collectively appreciate Oga Abel? One race, one long life for you, sir. I'm told we will take 1 or 2 questions so that we invite the second speaker. And so when you want, Oga Abel, let me start. I usually do that yesterday. I did your presentation. Is there any way we can have a copy to EX and our team to be able to have a copy to work on? We are in the era of not only the speeches, but time to go into action. Inclusion plus implementation. This should be our new narrative. So Oga Abel has assured us that some copy for the ES and her team to start digesting and start working in the areas that need to be worked on. Questions from us. Would I be action? So let me do it sharply. Oga Abel will respond well, allow him to take his lead, and then I will bring the second speaker.
Okay, thank you, Oga Abel, for your very good and wonderful presentation. I think when you were presenting, I saw people outside peeping, thoughting that it's a person with disability presenting this paper, not knowing that it's part and parcel of the initiative on disability law, just like what Mr. Suleiman, the chairman of JONAPWD, has said. I don't know how you will support us in the area of re-engaging some of the MDAs, because with the present summit taking place today, I know the organizers of this program reach out to so many relevant MDAs that are supposed to be here, so that at the end of the day, each and every one of them will be able to know the role that they will play towards implementing disability law in the role they will play in implementing Kaduna State Disability Law, which is headed by the Kaduna State Disability Affairs Board. I think it's even part of the law that think Kaduna State Disability Law. But if you look critically the contents of the law, it's not only the Disability Affairs Board that will implement the law. Take for instance, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, more particularly Kasuda in terms of accessibility. I think how can you support us in bringing or re-engaging these relevant NDAs towards achieving this implementation in Kaduna State? Thank you.
A very good one. Can we give him a big round of applause? Who else? I just saw anything there. All right.
Thank you, the presenter. I'm Salis Shuaib, representing State Ministry of Health. The presenter, I want to chip in. There is an area where you said in 2019, you sat down with the management of this hotel, talked to them concerning the issue of accessibility to this hotel. So my concern, since you have talked to them, they did not respond. So I will call the partners and government, whenever you have a program concerning disability, go to the hotel, check all their boards and areas, then you want to pinpoint the area where you have issue with them, like program, later you now tell them that you will not engage them, you will leave them and find another reason. That money is going to help them to correct their mistake. Let me cite an example. This month, we went a program in Abuja. So that program, the presenter, they are from Italy. So before they engage that hotel, they have to make sure that the hotel has some access to people with disability. And that is the reason why they engage that hotel. So let's also practice this. If you do not do the right thing, maybe you learn your mistake. Having a ramp here, not only for the disability, it will help following because it prevents accident. When there is ramp, everyone will just come and pass without having any issue. So that is my contribution. Thank you.
I will not be able to do it. Perhaps Odaebe will not subscribe to this place, but Odaebe will answer by himself.
Good morning, all. I'm sorry to say I'm from Disability Affairs. We are to talk for them all. What I mean is that the complaint comes to us, but where shall we go for the solution, please? We need a place, we need a voice, we need a center that will take this for the solution of how are we going to do it and when is it going to be implemented. For instance, we have a case, he's crawling and he comes to us saying that he has a problem with a private sector, but its accessibility he can't make it because it is a third floor, and how can he get there? And the man is not going to see him
Good morning. Sorry. Yes, I insist to make a comment. After she just mentioned some few of our views. Truly speaking, let me be frank to all of us here, most especially with the disability. You cannot be working, everyone cannot be working for disability without getting them involved in what they are doing. Whatever we are doing as such perspective, we will never get things right. My advice here is this: if you want this thing to work for us, get most of us involved in what you are doing. If you do that, we are the ones that know what concerns us. We are the ones that know how we feel. We are the ones that can explain how we feel. Mr. Adeyo, you can never explain how what I feel. You just say something here about you are partially disabled person because you have a little side problem. That is all you know. Though you say partial, let me just make that word. While some of you that have this good heart working for us, going up and down, trying to make laws for us, trying to enforce those laws, what we are saying, get us involved in it. If we are involved in government policies, we will make an advice on policies that can make us feel better. But if we are not involved, and those making policies are everyone, they will make policies, and probably at the end of the day, they will continue talking about inclusion without implementation. We have talked about inclusion long ago, even before I came into this community. 4 years ago, as I said earlier yesterday, I wasn't like this. But faith brought me into this that I am today. But what I have seen in the community is, and in this disabled community, truly speaking, is a pity. Honestly, yesterday I was just speaking with my president here, with my chairman here, that we need to do a lot even about wheelchair users because we are the most vulnerable one. Please, sir, let's get us involved and let please implement all we are saying here. If not, we will never get it right. Thank you once again. My name is Joseph Kaduna.
Thank you very much. Let me start from your very comment. Monday, the presentation has been sent to Suleiman, Silas, and Smith. Now, tell them to check and then share it with others. I've done so.
All right. So,
first of all, let me start from your comments and questions. I cannot feel half of what you feel at the moment. But again, I want to assure you that all the programs we implemented in the whole of Kaduna here, if there is no person with disability inside, that program will work. Yes. Now, let me also bring something to your notice. Himself, Radwan, and a couple of others, we went for a public hearing in the House of Assembly. It took them close to 20 minutes to climb from down and get to the committee room in the House of Assembly. When we came there, I walked up to the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, the then Speaker, Right Honorable Yusuf Zidani, and I said, Right Honorable Speaker, you know how long it took them to climb up? Almost 20 minutes. Because you come, go to second, third, fourth, then you now go to second floor. That's where the committee room is. And what was his response? He said, first of all, presentation should be done with persons with disability first before any other person. He said, no matter the order we have arranged, they should start. And he gave a listening ear. In his response, he said, the new structure in the House of Assembly that are currently going on, there will be lift for persons with disability. That was one of the first things he said here. And I'm not the one that said it.
He said it, media was there, and they captured it. So it is now for us to go back to the house when the house is completed. If they live there or not there, then we can now engage them. That's step one. Step two, I know the former Procyon of OGP is here. Ask her for any one of the engagements we are doing. Suleiman is here. I usually ask any local government area where we are going to engage, if persons with disability are not part of it, at least we must have up to 5. Each cluster must be represented. The chairman of Sabongeri and Zaya local government area, even when we have activities or we don't have activities, they send greetings to me because anytime we get there, they are first to be there. And we engage them. And that's why I talked about training them in all the accountability mechanisms. Health, education, local governance, and many others. I'm sure, do we have anyone in tax justice? We have them. So we have accountability mechanisms. And those were part of the structures we said must be inclusive. That's on that aspect. So for anything we know that benefit persons with disability, we take it forward. We don't allow it to stay here. Who knows Salisu? Where is Salisu? We see here. Salisu in FRCN. If you see Salisu in FRCN, you can engage him and ask about my name and see. There is this guy that graduated from Castle, Mohammed. He's equally on wheelchair. No, maybe yesterday. If you ask Mohammed, not only him, Suleiman and in short, where's my Oyibo guy? We are just saying ready back. Go. Do you understand? So when we do anything, then we had an engagement in Zaria, in the Cleric Hotel. I don't know the number of persons with disability that were here. The hall was not accessible, and we told the management that we are taking our activity away. Frankly, that day, they created a ramp. Iron ramp. I think, where is Monday? Joshua James was there. He covered it on media. And we said, if you don't do it, you will not follow. I'll get back to you, sir. Just hold on, I'll get back to you. I'm trying to tell you of the efforts we have made. And I want to link it to what the person from... See, we told them that if they don't do it, in short, I think we stopped engaging Asa Pyramid Hotel because of inaccessibility. Then the only thing we go to was the hall behind. Because if they come here, there is a small ramp here that they can go back to the hall at the extreme end. So that we're using. But for this hall, we refuse to engage. Any program, you can hear me, before the law was passed on, we brought persons with disability here. We had a program in Bafra Hotel. Late Julius, the chairman of JONAPWD at that point in time. It was from that program he felt ill, and they took him to Baraubiko. He passed on. Believe me, I traveled and followed them for his burial in Kaura local government area. In around month of 8, I went there. And the reason, sorry? You can hear that. So, again, the thing is, why we are trying to say so is, I understand some of the pains that some of us go through and so on and so forth. However, it is not all that we can push off. Because in my presentation, I've mentioned the issue of stigmatization. There is a law that was passed in Kaduna State, violence against persons, So the law is there in Kaduna State. But nobody has tested the law before the competent court of jurisdiction. So if somebody's right is violated, persons with disability, or person living with HIV and AIDS, and that law is tested in the court of law. That's why I'm telling Suleiman now, I think there needs to be a stronger tie between Nigerian Bar Association, Federation of Women Lawyers, with JONAPWD, to ensure that if there are issues that somebody needs to be sued and let him pay for that collateral damage, then the person can do such a situation. I understand most of the things. Even this one that I'm wearing, I mentioned one thing earlier. When you have your house, when you are building a house and you did not think of tomorrow and you build the house today, luckily you said you are not like this. But now you are in the same condition. And I told even him, I mentioned to him right now, the house he built, is it accessible? Our various worship places, some of them are accessible, some are not accessible. Now, with this your wheelchair, I'm sure there are some worship houses you cannot enter because it's 10, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if they make them accessible, create an enabling environment for persons with disability, I think we can take it. And I say it's also a point of advocacy. Probably by the time we finish from here, it should be part and parcel of the community. And that of the Nigerian Bar Association and FIDA should be part of the community if we are developing the community. And media that has been prompt, Monday has been part of the media and he has been working in that direction, particularly. So again, I think there are one way or the other we can help. Now, when the governor, the last governor, passed a law in Kaduna, and one of the things he talked about was accessibility of public buildings in Kaduna State. Now, sir, you are telling me, please, the government structures they are building all over, now go and check whether they are accessible. Nothing. You understand? Action begins from where decisions are taken. But actions are not taken from there. If actions are taken from here, then you know, yes, you can access some of those facilities. And I think as part of our advocacy, we need to also take it up with government again, that public structures must be accessible. And corporate organizations that are also on the road for persons on wheelchair, persons with disability, even women and children, when they come to crossroads, drivers don't respect zebra crossing. They don't. We had an engagement in I can't remember where we had the engagement. There was a lady that came here, she's on wheelchair. I think from Hotel 17. All the keke she was stopping, nobody stopped to pick her. I parked and I asked her, enter the front seat. Her support entered the back seat. I carried them with their wheelchair to Kano Road. And I dropped her here. She said, no, from Kano Road she can take keke and go to her house. Again, public service, public transport in the state, across Nigeria, is inaccessible for persons with disabilities. And that's why the community we are building, we need also to take it up. And thank God the representative of Nigerian Police Force is here. Nigerian Police, not Force again, because I think they dropped the Force. So that we can engage them on the violation of the right of persons with disability at the state level. Police can be the first entry point. And when it comes to prosecution, then lawyers can come in and do what they need to do in that regard. I don't know whether I covered what you want. Okay.
So you just made mention of the Nigerian police was being present here, and if there is a need for them to correct anything, maybe taking effect of any violation. What about the case if it's the Nigerian police that violated a person and probably made him to be a disability like me? I was violated by the Nigerian police. I was shot with my spinal cord on my ribs. I was bedridden for over 2 years. I lost my job as a banker, a professional banker. I lost everything. I went treatment about everything. The police never attended to me. Up to the IG, I spent money all over. Went all over the world, spent money on media and everything. So as I speak with you, the Nigerian police It's not really irresponsible for a team of Nigerian police as well. How will they come in if the Nigerian police would have done this to me as I speak 12 years ago? My little cousin, who was the police, was killed, and they sent their representative for the burial. Why during the gunshot salute, one of them looked at me, probably was drunk and fired at me and my cousins. Fired me on the stand. So when we talk about Nigerian police, I'm sorry, there's no implementation for them. I stand corrected because I was abused by the police. There's nothing I've not done. I've gone through all the media houses. I traveled as far as Beijing, China. I've been to India hospitals. I've been to any place you can think about just to get myself back. I was drained. I lost my profession as a banker. I'm not just a banker. I went as far as doing a master's in banking and finance so I could keep my profession. But I lost everything. So when you speak of Nigerian police, it's really touched me and I was pained. Because I don't wait for during the what is it called? During the what they call this? When they did the SARS movement something. I was there at the panel. Everything was done. There was no compensation. There was no compensation. I did spinal cord surgery in Beijing. I did it here in Nigeria. I went to different hospitals. I spent tens of thousands of dollars to get myself back. But here I am. Not even a dime. I met the DIG of police not once, not twice. They all played me. They all played me. I couldn't pay the police.
I think this is another conversation. For Haruna, probably one of the things we can begin to do is just to raise a very serious group. I would think probably we should work with her and get a number of us involved in it, and then see how can we push probably through the police service solution, or through no, Haruna is okay. Haruna is okay. Calm down. Haruna, calm down.
They brought him back to the police. Behind me.
Haruna
is missing him. The Nigerian police went back and brought that man. When I called the man, asked him the police number. He said, "Is he old or the old man?" The Nigerian police went behind him and brought him. He stated him to the police.
Don't worry. I think probably one of the things we need to do is just to do advocacy around Haruna's issue, right? We will do advocacy around Haruna's issue. Haruna, I think after this I will meet up with you and let us see who we can get involved in this matter. I think I'm also passionate about that matter and see what can we do and how can we go about them. If at the end of the day we are unable to resolve whatever thing that is there, God knows we have done the best that we can do. But again, I think for Haruna, please calm down. Calm down. I know how painful and the type of resources that you have probably expended in respect of that. When we do that, we will also speak with our friend that is here and then see how we can take the issue forward. Right? Please, at the end of this, we'll do that. My sister, you mentioned a couple of things in respect of upstairs and so on and so forth. Like I said, the state government said public buildings should be accessible. The structure, go and check all the structures that the state government is building now. Are the public building accessible to persons with disability? Go to some new primary schools that I will not call them. Go to some of the new primary schools that will be built now and see. Some, they have ramps. Some that they are building first, second floor. Can person with disability get right into any one of those classes? So again, government will have to do an action deliberately to see what and how we go about some of these issues. So thank you so very much. I think I've responded to most of the questions that were asked. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And everyone, this is one of the reasons why Summit was called. And we are able to have our insights to bear in this place. If we give the mic to everyone, we will have different testimony or complaint. But of course, communicate, we cover some of the things we brought to bear today and yesterday. Permit me to invite the second speaker to kindly come for her presentation. She has a place to go. Another person is already 11:45 or 11:45. As a radio person, I know what it means with time. And also to inform you, the Nigerian police representative here, perhaps I contacted him. He is here on our behalf, the planning committee, and also he said he has something to say, and if contacted, he will pick the story from here. So like what Oga Ebel has said, let's see how we are going to structure it for him to be able to follow it. He is our representative here, and he is a kind person with civility mind in ensuring these kind of challenges are being addressed the way it should. So let me see. All right, Auntie Hadiza, UNICEF, where are you? 1 minute, please. Can you talk to us then and allow the microphone to Hajia Hadiza? She has a place to go. UNICEF, are you around? Please, 1 minute, sir. Please, thank you. Can we give them a big round of applause?
Good morning, all. I greet you on behalf of UNICEF. Welcome you to this very important gathering. UNICEF is committed to working with you to ensure inclusion. I want to thank the Kaduna State Disability Affairs Board for the great role we are doing. You know, in UNICEF, we are particularly interested in children, and we know that a lot of children are living with disabilities, and we want to ensure that they are included. And for adults, there is a constitutional provision to ensure inclusion. So what we are doing today is beyond Kaduna. Internationally, it is also recognized. So we are going to continue to support you in any way possible to ensure this full inclusion. So thank you, organizers.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Make your contact available to Bolt and also JONAPWD to be able to contact you for any collaboration. The new drive now is let's collaborate to be able to solve our problem or challenges. My honor privilege, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, formally to welcome Malama Hadiza Umar for her presentation paper 2. Hadiza also have a very long list to talk about who she is, but because of time, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to welcome her formally. Inclusion around health and educational disability. Close to what UNICEF just said. Can we collectively, patiently she waited, give her a resounding round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Please let's appreciate the last speaker. So I'm sorry, I'm going to rephrase the topic. Disability inclusion across health and education. I feel that it should be even beyond health and education because it's supposed to be across board, not just looking at health and education. We've talked a lot about social infrastructure and also other areas. So I will try to be, my presentation is just for 10 minutes, so I'm going to try to be as fast, not only fast, but as to the point as possible to make sure that I don't really beat around the bush. So because the last speaker said a lot about my topic. But I'm going to look at it from 3 areas: disability inclusion in health and education, in terms of access, participation, in terms of access, yes, participation and achievement. Because what are we talking about? when we talk about health and education, how accessible is it for persons with disability? I think that I always tell people, because I'm a disability inclusion specialist myself, and what I tell people is the people we look at and call the marginalized, we feel they are the disabled, we feel they are the minority. I feel the larger society is the minority. Why? Because a person with disability who is hearing impaired, for instance, knows sign language and can also read and write, which we can do. And the person who claims to be the perfect person cannot do sign language. So who is at the disadvantage here? The person who is visually impaired can read using Braille, can use his computer using Braille, but if you shut our eyes, the person who claims to be normal, you cannot do anything else. So who is at the disadvantage? So it is the larger society that is supposed to be, we're not supposed to be adjusting persons with disability to fit into the system, but the system is supposed to be adjusted to allow everybody, regardless of whether you are disabled or not, to be able to access the system. So, and where does this all start? It starts from planning. It starts from the fact that we're not using evidence. Mr. Elon talked about inadequate planning or inadequate resources. How can we have adequate resources when we've not deliberately planned? We've not deliberately, when we're beginning to plan, when we're thinking about what we want to do, whether it's building an infrastructure, whether it's a school, whether we're making, we're buying learning materials, we've not done research enough to be able to have, to know the number of persons with disabilities who are going to need Braille, who are going to need a basic sign language and other assistive devices to learn. And then we now say we're doing inclusion. Of course, we will not be able to have all those materials. Sorry, I didn't do the presentation because of the 10 minutes. So, if we have evidence-based planning that is gender and disability responsive, we'll be able to take care of all the groups that we call vulnerable and marginalized. We'll be able to know how many girls, how many persons with disability, and then how many either girls or boys with disability, what type of disability and disadvantage in what area, so that we'll be able to know when we are building hospitals or when we are building schools or when we are buying materials or when we are buying health supplies, to know what and what we need to provide to be able to take care of every single person. If it is staff audit, we deliberately do our staff audit to find out whether we have persons with disability or role. We don't do that. It just comes by chance. So it's not enough to have these policies. We have policy, like for instance now, Plain is here. One of the things Plain is trying to do is looking at the disability law to find out what are the education components or provisions of the disability, to work with Ministry of Education to make sure that it is being implemented so that learners with disability can also be able to enjoy education in Kaduna State. Then participation. They said nothing for us. How can you be planning? How can we are planning for education? Persons with disabilities are not on the table. We don't have the disability data. We don't know where our target is. We don't know what they need. And when you come to talking about funding and allocation of funds, they say, oh, we don't have enough funds to make rails, we don't have enough to buy enforcement machines, we don't have this, we don't have that. And then we are beating our chest to say that we have a good education system, then it is not. Persons with disability need to be involved in designing, implementation, and also monitoring. Because when everybody else is looking out for what he or she feels is her concern, he also will be looking at for what is his or her concern. I remember we did one assessment one time to find out when all those buildings on education was going on, to find out how inclusive, disability inclusive the buildings were. And I think all the work that Ministry of Education was doing there, we just came up with like 2%. And by the time we presented the scorecard, they were very surprised that we even had 2%. They said, we are surprised we have 2% because, to be honest with you, we were not even expecting 1%. That should tell you that we need to internalize this. It needs to be at the back of our head as it is everybody's responsibility to think inclusion. Inclusion is the future. If you are learning education, you're not learning inclusive education, you've got it wrong. There was a time when we were advocating for colleges of education to make sure that when they are training teachers, prospective teachers teachers going to school. Special education should be a core. Because most times what we do when we're trying to make schools inclusive is to find teachers across board, train them so that at every level a learner with a disability who is going to go to an inclusive school in his community will have a teacher on standby. But if we train these people right from colleges of education, we don't have to do that. Because if we do multi-grade teaching, now why are we not going to also make an inclusive, create inclusive teachers that can, whoever they meet in front of them, they will feel comfortable to teach. And then also achievement. Well, even when we are doing assessments, now if you go to Bureau for Statistics or you go and check the annual school census, if not recently, you hardly find levels of achievement of learners with disabilities. How are learners with disabilities achieving? How are they progressing? How are they moving from one level of education to the other? How many of them are getting scholarships? How many of them, whether local or international, how many of them do we have in regular schools? How many schools are inclusive? How many private schools are making their schools disability inclusive so that wherever we don't believe in a system, let's scrap special schools. I'm sorry if there's anybody from special schools. We scrap special schools because it has become a dumping ground, especially the working one. Sure. If you go to Belkori, there was a child, the last time I went there, he was counting 32 years. He can't move, he can't do anything. His parents just went and dumped him from Sokoto and disappeared. Yes. We can't create a different world for persons with disabilities, so we need to create spaces within homes, within societies, within our schools, so that any school, a person with disability has the right to walk into any school, private or public, and sit and learn. I went to some disability schools in Anambra, and I was really disappointed. I went to one particular school, and the learners, the boarding school, and the learners were telling me how comfortable they were in school. They don't really like holidays, they prefer to always be in school. And I was asking them, one child asked me, she said she wants to give me a message to her parents. Coming all the way from Kaduna, they're giving me a message to your parents. And I was asking her, what do you want? She just wants to say thank you to her parents. Thank you. 2 words. One word if you put a hyphen. We have children with disability, but not learning sign language. So our child cannot even talk to us. Because the complaint was from parents when we sat with them is that the children don't engage, they are very moody. All they do is they want a phone and they are always on the phone. And we ask them, what do you do on the phone? They are communicating with their classmates they left from school. They are talking. Because they can't talk to you. The child wants to communicate with you and tell you affectionately how. You are not following to know how well these learners are doing and how we are how we are creating more gaps for learners and making it difficult for learners with disability to be able to achieve. So as we are doing all these things for people we claim to be normal, it's good that we consciously create policies, programs, and put in place platforms that people with disability, persons with disability will feel comfortable to be able to engage. So that's the brief I'm going to say, because I know Mr. Eva has talked a lot about it and we can just continue going on and on. But I just feel those are the core things that we need to do. I think the future, for anybody that will say I'm working with the trend, I'm there and it. If you're not thinking inclusion, you're not speaking inclusion, you're not working inclusion, you're not talking inclusion, and you're not acting inclusion, then unfortunately you're left behind. That's the truth. So going forward, I think we should deliberately be thinking inclusion, talking inclusion, working inclusion, and acting inclusion. Because it is the future. Thank you. Sorry, I know there's supposed to be questions and answers.
Okay, thank you so much. Can we appreciate her? Your presentation, can we get a copy?
Like
is there any way you can get a copy?
I can give you my jotting.
Of course.
Yeah,
we
because
wouldn't mind.
10 minutes, so I didn't want to put the slide that would take me long.
The secretariat will need the material to do something, or rather to work on it towards the points you made mention. I think that's the key area we need to work on. Can we once more collectively appreciate her? We want to allow her to go. She waited, and I had to plead with her. Any 1-2 presidents, then we free her. And then we are coming close to this historic event. Let me take it 1 or 2 persons. If there is none, I will allow her to take her leave. The Mary? Okay.
Yanzu mutum yana so ya shiga cikin mutane amma ya shiga cikin mutane sai a fara cewa Allah sai abin ya bi zama.
It's a challenge that some of us don't bring our people out for many years. And she's also asking the same question. Perhaps from your experience, tell us something to encourage her.
Yeah, so she spoke in Hausa, so I will also speak back in Hausa. Yawanci irin maganar da take gaskiya ne kuma shi yasa aka ga mutane cewa da ka ga mutum da ke bukatar kula ta musamman duk sanda muke fadakarwa abin da muke ga mutane shi ne cewa kada kana saurin nuna masa tausayi ko kana saurin cewa in taimake ki kaza ni let me do something for you kamar yaro ne karami in muna child protection muna fadakarwa akan yadda za a iya kula da yara da sauransu a kare haƙƙinsu da sauransu. Hello. Ai kamar karamin yaro ne misali. Kada kana saurin ce ma yaro bari maka kaza, da bari miki kaza. Ku bar su yi sai suna buƙatar taimako. Kuma haka din ne kuma in ka ga mutum da ke buƙatar kula ta musamman don an ce yana buƙatar kula ta musamman ba wai kawai da ka gan shi kai saurin abin da yana da basirin da Allah ya bashi. Abin da Allah ya ba misali yanzu ina rufe ido na abubuwan da ni zan kula da su da abin da wanda bai gani zai kula da su daban ne. Dan ni na kula ido na yanzu na cikin hatsari. Shi kuma shi rayuwar shi ke zai iya tafiya sake fita daga wurin da ba tare da matsala ba. Don haka inda muke ganin sun yi rashi Allah ya ba su baiwa ta wani hanya daban. So yawanci dan Allah mutane duk yawancin da muke ganin muna da bamu da matsala. Da mun ga wanda ke da bukatar kula ta musamman kada in ba dai mun ga cewa nan ne zai shiga hatsari ba ne. Misali akwai ran da naga wani teacher access ne ma yana tafiya da autistic din shi and he was yana kokarin ya dan ji ina da ina. Daga cewa nan ne gashi nan kabar shi kwata zai shiga. Kaga wannan yana cikin hatsari. To kana iya kafin ma ka miƙa mishi hannu da kana iya sauran cin shi. Har tara ne ka kai kafar ga wani abu hakan nan don ya jaye kafar shi. Amma muna saurin cewa wai dan saboda mutum yana da bukatar kula ta musamman mu yi saurin kai mishi taimako ba sa bukata kuma mun ji ai daga bakin Hajiya Khadija ko ba ka tabarata mun ji daga bakin yawa ba a so in ba mu sani ba kuma din da muka je da ana fadakarwa bai zaman cewa yana cikin abin da ya kamata mu faɗi ba a san wannan tausayi don ba wanda ya kamata a ji tausayin shi bane shi ma yana da yanci shi ma yana da bai wanda Allah ya bashi in ba shi ya gudu bakin shi ya ce ina bukatar taimako na fahimci abin da kike faɗi don saboda ni ma ya taɓa faruwa da ni lokaci ina da ciki za mu yi muna workshop za mu yi energizer kawai sai facilitator ce everybody can benefit kowa ya tashi a yi energizer tare da shi amma ban da ke da ce mata dalilin ne na ki ce mata wai dan saboda kana ki ciki dan zo nan kin ga na kasa wani abu ne aka kasa ko bai bari idan na bukatar zauna ni da kaina san ce miki ina son in zauna so in muna tunanin akwai lokaci na san a rayuwar mu kowa ya zauna sai ci san cewa wanda ke gani yana da lafiya Allah ya jarrabe mu da wani halin da zai samu cikin halin da suke ci ko a matsayin mun yi rashin lafiya ba mu da karfi da za mu taka sai a daga mu ko mun yi rashin lafiya ba mu iya magana akwai family friend yanzu tana da zamiya haka kawai daga zazzabi ba ta iya magana duk da dai maganan ya fara dawa kuma yanzu Allah ya dandana mu ni akwai sanda na kwanta asibiti because of drugs aka bani magunguna ban taba gaya ma family ya bana ga sai last year for almost 1 week ido na ya dauki yes duk abin da zan yi sai dai su magana kina son a kan abinci ba za ki cinye ne ita musu dai dabara dai ba san tada musu hankali. Allah ya jarabe ni da rashin shi, ni ma na gani na sani. So a lokacin abin da nake lokacin ni inda take magana yanzu sai ni ma ta ƙara tunanin cewa a lokacin abin ya saba ga musu da saboda ban san a nuna mu wani tausayi a tada hankali a menene. We just treat them normally kawai. In an haɗu a yi hira ya uwa mu sha hannu ne da dan ta gane hannun kina zuwa. Ya uwa mu runguma wanda ta san kina zuwa za ki rungume ta. Akwai abubuwan da za mu yi musu dabara da mu taimaka musu amma ba mu nuna musu cewa sun kasa ba. So now answer the question.
Can we appreciate and hear you? I think I should take a lead and even whatever you want to say something before.
Okay, thank you, Khadija, for your presentation. I just have, during your presentation, you raised one issue that is very critical to me. The issue of proposing for scrapping of special schools. I really am in support of that. But one of the obstacles or problems that I don't think is heightened for us to advocate for the scrapping of special schools. One, the schools, the public schools are not accessible. Number two, there is no provision on ground that will accommodate the present students from these special schools. Because we are in Kaduna today, I don't think there's any public school that have provision of sign language interpreter, that have teachers for brain, that is school and disability friendly. If eventually these schools are scrapped and all these things are not put in place in our public schools, what we do with our students or learners with disability from the special schools. So these are just my thoughts, because we are all advocating for inclusion, and if we keep on maybe supporting special schools, that inclusion is not there, because it's one-sided, it's segregated, it's only individually and hearing impaired that are just left in that special school, and we are seriously advocating for inclusion. So how do we go about this issue?
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, I'm glad you brought this up because it's doable. It's doable. I think it's in 2009, 2010, when we were introducing inclusive education to Nigeria. I led the pilot for inclusive schools in Kaduna. I took 7 schools, public schools, real public schools in rural communities. Any community that had a learner with disability, that had a child with disability, we brought the child into the school, and then we now picked teachers, one from each arm, based on the disability. That's one thing with inclusive education. It's not a free-for-all intervention. It is based on need. That's why we are talking about evidence and responsive, disability responsive planning and education delivery. We piloted that. For instance, let me give you one example of one case study that was very successful. That it is here, Marabon Kajuru. They had one girl who was hearing impaired, and we trained the teachers from 1 to 6 and the head teacher on basic sign language, and we kept giving them basic sign language training. This is a teacher that has never done sign language before. I am telling you, before you do it, for a very long time, that school, when you go to the school, one child, all the other learners, when they are singing the national anthem, they are singing it with sign language. And the teacher was also doing sign language. And after school, they were communicating with the girl in sign language. And then the community said, what is this that these children are doing with this girl? We also want to learn that thing. Do you see how the ripple effect from one child to the school, to the community? So if government is willing to invest in that kind of education, then I'm telling you, before you know it, we will all, whether we like it or not, we'll be thinking inclusion. Because the reason why we're not thinking inclusion is because we find one place and hide them. Whatever they are doing, we'll send back. We are not part of their world. We are not learning. You can see that even some people, their parents don't care about any sign language. The child should come and just come and they keep frustrating the child because the child is frustrated because he or she cannot communicate and is not getting any communication. So don't let the child will look for one way or the other to get their attention. So it is doable. Inclusion is expensive, but it's doable. It's only expensive when you are starting, but I'm telling you, if you internalize, I'm not yet advocating in the sense that I'm saying scrap now. I'm telling you that if I had my way, special schools will not exist. They are good as a resource. They are good as a resource because we have great resources there. But the truth is how we treat how we access